This video is made for adult collectors because it would help if I had the script open. I just started recording and didn't actually open the document. Ooh, it's a mystery. Where'd he go? No, I'm just kidding. He's right here. I wish this was better. The Mystery Machine Transformer. This should be an absolute banger of a concept because, like, it's a super iconic vehicle turning into a robot. But crossover figures have had a rocky lifespan. Nowadays, they're less likely to be stinkers, but there are still some. They're really good at making van formers, though. The last two Stranger Things van collabs have been great, but now we have this. And this figure has issues. The robot is cool looking and all, but let's get this thing into van mode. That's the Mystery Machine. They nailed that on the head. There is a lot of deco on the side of this van, which I would assume contributes to the $70 Canadian price tag. $70, god damn, that's a lot of money, but I'll get to that later. Oh, also, this was purchased at Heroes World. You'll see the box throughout this video, but I recycled it before shooting the bit where I throw the box at it, so that's, you know, that's not in here. But yeah, there is a lot of paint on the side, front, and back of this, though the back windows are unpainted, and if you're gonna go this hard on the deco, I'd hope that they would be painted. The back end of the van itself also doesn't really like pegging together. There's always a slightest gap, and it bothers me. And getting him into van mode is panel heavy, as you'll see later, so every once in a while there are gaps in the panels, like the side sections here. They always look like this, and it's a bit annoying because it breaks up that nice Mystery Machine deco. I think the accessories go here. They aren't listed in the pretty shitty instructions on where they go, but they have tabs on them and there are slots inside the legs, so I'm assuming they go here. These two bits though, I don't know where they go, and Scooby himself just kind of sits off to the side. Yeah, this is a box of Scooby snacks. And it's a pretty great fidget toy. Like, it kind of feels like one of those lid lighter things. I don't know what they're called, I don't smoke, but they look fun to fidget with, and this kind of feels like that. There is also a lot of deco on the Scooby snack box itself. It is just a box though. It has a 3mm peg, which again, the instructions make no mention of. I thought this was for storage, but it doesn't fit in any cavity at the bottom of the van. Never mind, I'm an idiot, it's just for transformation. Speaking of which, so you know how older crossover figures, like back when they first started doing this new collaborative line, I want to say 2018, 2017, I can't remember. It was during John Warden's like stuff because he did Ectotron. But during that time, there were some figures that would just fall apart a lot. Like, they don't do that a lot now. They're pretty stable now, and they're actually quite fun, a lot of the crossover figures. But this does a falling apart thing that annoys me. First, we'll get Scooby done. So the first thing you want to do here is you want to take the entire Scooby-Doo and open him like a book. Then you fold this piece around. It'll clip into place there. You take the head. This will fold up like that. The legs will fold down and they will clip into place. And then the tail folds out. Then you close this up and split it like this. And that's Scooby. I dropped him. Pretty easy to do. I will say this deco is really durable because I've dropped this a couple times by accident onto a hard surface and it hasn't scratched. So I'm really happy that this deco stays on, but that's Scooby. He's pretty easy. He looks dead inside. The Mystery Machine is panels. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take this off. You don't have to take this off. You can leave it on. It doesn't have to come off, but for like a little detail thing in robot mode, it does kind of have to come off. You got to take the weapons out from underneath. Then you want to come up here and you want to sort of pull these bits out, which can be a little annoying to do. Yeah. There we go, I got one. So we get both of those out. Then you take the feet at the back here and you want to bring them down, not all the way. You just want to bring them down enough that they clear these tabs. Then you want to take the front piece here, bring it out, and bring it down on this hinge and just get it out of the way. Pull this section out so you can get these tabs out from behind the windshield, and then open these panels. That exposes like the entire robot. Then you bring the waist down, click the knees into place, rotate the waist, and click that into place. Now you bring the little spare tire back in, and that goes on the front there. Again, you don't have to put it there if you don't want to parts form it, but like, it is supposed to go right there. Then you want to split the legs and bring the feet down and then fold out the heels. Fold out the heel. Fold it, there it is. This is the part where bits like to fall off. So going back into van mode, I'll show you with this one. Because of how tight this hinge is, you start pushing it and then the foot just comes straight off. And it happens consistently on mine. It's not a point where it just happens every once in a while. Every time I want to push it, because of how stiff this joint is, it's just annoying because you got to like hold it here to get leverage to push, and then it just pushes the foot off. Get back on. Okay, that's not working. Fold out the heel, make sure that's straight. Then you want to bring these panels all the way in and accordion them in like that to clean that up. Well, as best you can clean that up. The feet peg in. Well, I'm going to leave them unpegged. I'll talk about that later. It's weird. Then you want to bring the arms around, tab them into place, fold the rest of the arms down, bring the head up, and then the backpack section here, you just bring it up and accordion it in. It will peg in like that. And there you have, what's his name? Mysterious Prime? Yeah, that's just, I have Shaggy's head on here. It's just Shaggy. If you have Fred or Velma, you would then, or not Velma, Daphne, you would just take these and peg them in afterwards. But yeah, there he is. Hooray. The robot looks neat. Don't worry, I will get to the issues later, but it does look neat. This is the Shaggy head. I like the new spots of orange on this with some new bits of light green on the shoulders. The lower legs do look a bit ridiculous. There is a lot of panel on the side and the feet are weird. The back panels on the backpack itself collide with the leg parts, and trying to pose it around can get to be quite annoying. Like, the backpack wouldn't be too bad if these bits on the side actually folded up more. Now, my big issues. My shoulders. No, wait, not my shoulders, the figure's shoulders. Mine are sore from the shoulder press, but the toy. They squared off the front here. And the way that the hinges are constructed, it does do a full 360 when the arms are straight, but at any other angle, the squared off parts collide with the transformation hinges, and then the shoulders don't do anything anymore. And if the arms are all the way up, they no longer move in and out at all. It's so weird. I don't know why they didn't just round that section off. And now my biggest issue, the gimmick, the heads. So they are Titan Masters of sorts, so you can swap them around with other figures, which is neat, if a little unnecessary. But this is how I thought they were going to do the whole quote-unquote swap the head for other characters thing, like the Ninja Turtle figure where you swap the top of the head. There's like a CD changer inside the torso that can rotate around for each head. That's such a neat solution for the issue of who do we make this van based off of. But because of the rotating hinge thing it's on, and because of the fact that they made the heads removable, they don't rotate. Like, at all. At first, I thought it was because of how thin the actual platforms the heads are sitting on were. Then you could argue they just put a ball joint in the head itself like they do on actual Titan Masters. So on the surface, it's like, why is there no neck? What the hell? I'm operating under the assumption that they didn't want this mechanism to jam when rotating the heads around because of a talking too fast, because if a head is out of alignment, you could jam the entire CD change thing. But at that point, I would have been happy with it just being swappable heads without the CD changer. You can pin the ascot or the bow onto the neck if you're using Fred and Daphne. And then there's Scooby. He doesn't really do a lot, but he is a neat inclusion. The figure comes with a old film camera and a megaphone? Flashlight? What is this thing? Also, the feet peg in. I don't know why, and they peg in at a weird angle, but they peg in. First of all, banger. Second of all, I am a business major, so there's a lot of times where I understand decisions that were made. I don't have to be okay with them, but like I'll understand them a bit more because, like, you know, I went to school for 3 years to do that. So like some of the things I get. What I don't get is, why is the head rotated on the box? Why is the head's rotated on the box? I'm either thinking that this is an older, like, mock-up of the figure where it did have a neck joint, or they just rotated it in the model because the person who designed the packaging doesn't design the figure, so they didn't know and they just went, oh, I'll rotate the head on the model. But that shouldn't be there because that's not what this does. It's a small little packaging discrepancy, but it bugs me. Articulation is a slouch. The head does nothing. The shoulders do all that weird stuff I mentioned earlier. He has bicep rotation, 90-degree elbow bends, no wrist swivel, a waist joint where the little center thing likes to pop off. Hips go forward. They don't really go back that much, and then in and out. Thigh rotation, 90-degree bend at the knee, and then ankle tilt plus forward and back motion. Scooby does nothing. And now the other big issue I have. This costs $70 Canadian. $69.99 for this thing. That's the equivalent of whatever they're charging for him in the US, by the way. That is a lot of money for a Voyager with bits. And we get a lot of that now because inflation, manufacturing costs, profit margins, and greed, and so on. But crossovers are inherently more expensive because of licensing. And I guess the Scooby-Doo license just costs a lot of money to make this $70. Not to mention the enormous amount of paint on this figure, especially in the van mode. I recall them saying that Shredhead is going to be a Pulse exclusive so that they can get the deco they want on the side of the alt mode. So we will cost more than a Voyager, but that way they can get all of that paint on there. And even though all of that is the case here, that's still still too much for this, for something whose head doesn't rotate, whose shoulders are dumb, and whose leg panels are weird. I wouldn't honestly recommend this, and it sucks because I wanted to like it. I love Scooby-Doo. I was so excited for this crossover when they showed us the photos. I liked how it looked, but now with all of these issues, just get the Stranger Things van collab. Like, it's $4 more here, but it is such a better figure. And I know hardly anything about Stranger Things. I stopped watching after season 3. Both are too expensive, but if you had to pick one, the Stranger Things one is the better figure, which again sucks because I was so looking forward to the Mystery Machine. But that's my look at Mysterious Prime and whatever they call Scooby on the box. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.